third because it's the cubed root, and then in parenthesis ln of a plus, because it's multiplication, 2 ln of b because b was taken to the second power, minus ln of c because it's division. Let's take one other one here. So in the numerator, I have ln of x plus, and then I have, I wanted this to be the square root, and then plus 1/2 ln of x minus 1 minus ln of x squared plus 2. So because it's square root, it's to the 1/2 power. So I have ln of x plus 1/2 ln of x minus 1 minus ln of x squared plus 2, because division is subtraction. So we have 2 to the third power equals x plus 1. 2 to the third power is 8 equals x plus 1. So x is equal to 7. Let's practice a couple more of these. The base is 2, and the log or the exponent's -1. So now this is saying the base of 2 to the negative first power equals x. Now remember, negative as an exponent means make it into a fraction. So we're making this into a fraction with 1 in the numerator and 2 to the first power in the denominator. So now let's take another problem, kind of working up to this problem. Okay, so first I want to get the logarithm by itself. So it's going to be 3 log base 2 of x equals, and I'm subtracting 4 from each side to get -3. Now I just want to have the log by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And I have log base 2 of x equals -1, which is exactly what I was doing up here. And so now I have x is equal to 1/2. So I was previewing and getting you ready to do a problem here in logarithms. Part 2 question, 4 points. So it's a quadratic. X squared plus 5x equals -14. Always make sure the quadratic equation is equal to 0. Before you factor, you want to make sure the coefficient of the quadratic term is positive. If it is not, multiply through by -1 first. It is positive, so I'm looking for factoring it into the product of two binomials. The factors of 14 are 7 and 2. I want to make the 7 positive and the 2 negative, and we still have to solve, so we set the factors equal to 0 to get two solutions, -7 and +2. X minus 2. And you need to square it. I strongly suggest that you write x minus 2 times x minus 2 instead of just writing x minus 2 quantity squared. And then -3 times x minus 2 plus 1. That makes it much clearer that you have a binomial that you're squaring by FOIL. If not, you're going to get x squared plus 4, and you're going to miss that middle term altogether. So you're getting x squared, a -2x and a -2x is -4x plus 4, minus 3x plus 6 plus 1. In standard form, it's x squared minus 7x and 4 and -6 and 1 is plus 11. So first I would think of what does the graph for y equals the absolute value of x look like? Then what happens? The negative flips it over the x-axis, so it's upside down. The -1 inside the absolute value moves it 1 to the right. If it was positive x plus 1, it would move it 1 to the left. And because it's a positive 1 after it, it moves it up 1. So I would think about breaking it down. Cosine is positive. So now you're saying, what is the cosine of 30 degrees? Radical 3 over 2. All right, so for 7 pi over 4. Pi over 4, because we're going from 7 pi over 4, from 8 pi over 4 is a reference angle of pi over 4. So really we're looking at the tangent of pi over 4, or 45 degrees in the fourth quadrant. Is it positive or negative? Negative. And what is the tangent of pi over 4? 1. So your answer is negative 1. Okay, let's look at 4 pi over 3. What quadrant are you in for 4 pi over 3? Third, because you're going from 3 pi over 3 to 4 pi over 3 is pi over 3 here. So, probably should have picked sine here, but I picked cosine. Okay, so it's the cosine of 60, or pi over 3. What do you know about cosine in the third quadrant? It's negative. What is the cosine of 60, or pi over 3? 1/2. So you're getting a negative 1/2. So it's more the thought process than it is actual computation, but they're 3 points each. The next one is saying, first of all, what angle has as its cosine negative square root of 3 over 2? It's like square root of 3 over 2. Now, first of all, you have to think of the cosine graph. And when we're looking at the inverse, we're only looking at between 0 and pi. So what quadrant are we in if the cosine is negative? 2. So now I'm finding what angle in the second quadrant has a cosine of negative square root of 3 over 2. Well, what angle would it be if it was positive square root of 3 over 2? Pi over 6, okay, because it's 30 degrees. So if it's pi over 6 in the second quadrant, pi over, we're putting a second, okay, cosine being negative, we want pi over 6 in this quadrant, and what are we getting then for the angle? 5 pi over 6. So it's not that there are two quadrants